But after that, taint and untaint, how it is? Especially it is on worker node. Okay, we are going to taint worker node, we are going to untaint worker node. Not master node, but still you can untaint also master node, taint also master node.
Sir, one question.
Hmm.
Can I ask? And so I had doubt like if what happens if master node pod gets implemented in master node? Why it is getting default as untaint? Any issue? Or also you can say, you said that okay we can untaint also master node.
Yeah,
So any problem in if it is untainted?
yeah. Main main thing is by default master node is taint. Why? Because so many important pods and others are running, API and others. Because if any service is down due to resource or anything in master node, that means cluster is disturbed. So we are going to segregate this node only for the system pod and other worker node that is only for your application pod. So master node should be safe, and we are practicing using one master node. But in industry they are using three master node, minimum three master node, high availability purpose. Any node is down, still your cluster is running. If one master node is there and master node is down, master node down means API down, okay, or etcd down, or anything is down from master node, so your cluster is down. So that we are not going to disturb the cluster node, whenever it is required we just create our pod, application pod, that is in worker node. And within this worker node also number of options are there, where I am going to deploy my pod. That is randomly you can use, or node selector, or toleration, affinity. These are the different techniques. With the help of this we are going to deploy the pod in a particular worker node or group of worker node. So we are not going to use master node, because master node resource, master node should be lightweight and it is dedicated for system pod, so that we didn't disturb the master node. But it is also possible, interview time if they ask you if I want to create pod in master node, it is possible or not? Yes, it is possible if I untaint it. But normally we are not going to create any pod on master node because it is maybe harmful. Normally we are going to create our pod other than master node, because master node is responsible for the cluster, the complete cluster. If master node is down means that is the problem. Development time. Suppose when you test it in Minikube only one node, that is master, that is worker, everything. So you are creating pod. That time there was no taint options. So when you practice it using kubeadm, it is also possible untaint the master. But we didn't follow it, safe side purpose. So check it, taint this worker node or master node or anything, and then you can check it. How to check? Describe node, node name, grep taint. So let's see, we just try to taint one node and just check it. See right now what is the status? My node is running control plane, worker 1, worker 2. Then I check current pod status. It is showing that 2 pod running in worker 1 and 2 pod running in worker 2. kubectl delete pod Can you tell me why I just deleted pod, but still it is there? Why it is? Any idea from anybody?
Yes.
That other init container or maybe the other one's sidecar running parallelly is
No,
still
no,
running.
no, 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 no. When you delete any pod, automatically it is going to delete init, sidecar, everything. But still it is running. Why?
In replica set, in the YAML file, we will mention that two pods should be run. So whenever we get data get deleted, due to auto healing feature, it will come up automatically.
No. Replica is okay. It is 2 or 3 or 1, no issue. But when I delete it, why it is showing it is deleted? But it is showing again it is recreated. And what is the age? Check it. 32 second, 44 second, 8 second, 21 second. Just now it is created after delete.
Is it auto scaling?
No, I didn't use auto scaling till now. It is due to deployment because check it. kubectl get deployment. Deployment is there. Nginx and Nginx proj. Check it. This is Nginx and this is Nginx proj. And how many? Two. Two. So deployment is there, and when I delete the pod, from that deployment, pod automatically going to create. So if I want to delete this pod, no need to delete this two pod two times, that is one by one. If I delete this Nginx deployment, okay, check it. kubectl delete deployment and then deployment name nginx. I deleted. I just deleted deployment and check it pod status. Where is my pod? This nginx pod. Sorry, this nginx pod. This is two pods are there na nginx pod. Once I delete the deployment of nginx, then automatically it is going to delete this pod. Pod is going to create from the deployment. This is the plus point. We are not going to create pod from pod kind. Pod kind just testing purpose, but kind deployment for production purpose. Now if I delete this nginx proj, this deployment, what happened? This two pod is going to delete. So let it be run, no issue. I hope it is clear. Pod minus o white. So this is running on worker 2. Okay, so right now what is my target? My target is taint untaint. If I want to untaint or taint, so command is kubectl taint nodes node name and app colon no schedule for taint purpose. But when you use your node name, here my node name is dot test dot com. If you mention only kworker1, this node is not available. So let's check it. kubectl describe node kworker1 dot test dot com grep taint. So it will show none. That is taint is not configured here. Even you can check kworker 2, that is also none. But if I check kmaster, it is no schedule. Fine. Now I am going to set taint option in k worker 1. By default k worker 1 there was taint is not scheduled. In master k work is no schedule. Now I am setting my k worker 1 should be no schedule. So after this it is showing that it is tainted. How to check? K worker 1 grep taint. Now it is showing. Last time when I check k worker 1 it is showing that taint none. Now it is showing taints no schedule. So when you try to create any pod is going to create in worker 2, not worker 1, because worker 1 I already changed no schedule. Okay. Now if I want to reset it, that is no schedule to schedule again, that is taint to untaint, then the same command kubectl taint nodes worker 1 details app no schedule, but we have to mention here one minus sign, no space nothing, no schedule hyphen. What happened? Untaint. You may check describe node worker 1 taint option, again it is none. So this is the way you can taint or untaint. Then you just try to create one pod, simple nginx pod, just 4-5 lines, and check it, it is going to create in worker 2 when worker 1 is tainted. After untaint, if you try to create, delete that pod, try to create, check it now. If I use replica 3 or 4, 1 or 2 is going to create in worker 1 and rest is in worker 2. Okay, that is taint untaint concept. Okay, how to detach a node? Yesterday I show you cordon and then one by one setup. Now after detach, completely remove from the cluster, or after detach, either completely remove or partly remove, no issue. You want to attach again the same node. Okay, or suppose you detach, you just complete some jobs and then you want to attach again, that is reattach. I am sending the document, yesterday I show you detach attach, so you please try to go through that. Okay, I am going to send you one more documentation. Now next option is node selector. Node selector means within our deployment we are going to mention this particular pod is going to create in worker node 2 or worker node 1. We can select it. Suppose worker node 2 or worker node 1, any node condition is too good. Hard disk is SSD, memory is more, CPU is more. So that we can say size of this worker node is large. Another one size is mid or low. So when we create any container, you can mention in this way. This is the deployment. In this deployment, I mention this option, node selector size large. So it is going to create the pod on that particular node where we set label. First we have to set the label size equal to large. But within this deployment we have to mention this node selector size large, and here we have to mention selector match labels, and our app is nginx. So this app, nginx app, when it is going to deploy, some label option is there. Without label option, this selector match label is not required. That is, I am requesting with this deployment, whenever you create this app nginx replica 3, you please check the label, match label. This is one request match label. So inside of this, what is the label? This is the label. So if this label is there, it is going to create the pod on that particular machine where label size large. So how to check the label and how to set the label? Say if I am going to check kubectl get node kworker1 show labels. This command is going to show kubectl get nodes name hyphen show labels. So it will show by default labels. This is the column of labels and these are all default labels. Kubernetes related all informations are there. So many labels automatically add. Labels just like tag of your EC2. When you create EC2, by default it is going to add one tag. You can add number of tag. Per EC2 instance, how many tag is possible? Any idea? In your AWS?
No,
Huh?
no limits.
No, everything has a limits.
Mhm.
Per
No.
EC2, 50 tag. You can add up to 50 tags. Okay. So here in worker 1 there was no label. If I check worker 2, one label is there, size large. Maybe yesterday I said it, size large, right? So how to set it? Simple command, kubectl label nodes, node name, and then your label. Size equal to large, dix equal to SSD, okay, mem equal to high, this type of any labeling. Just one key and the value. Key is size, value is large. Now after setting this label, now label is set at where? In kworker 2. In kworker 2 one label is there, size large. Now if I am going to execute this application, okay, this application, what happened? This pod, 3 replicas. This 3 replicas is going to create in this node where size equal to large, that is kworker 2. Cat no, not this, vi nginx hyphen dep.yaml I within this I mention node selected is size large and I mention here match labels. Kubectl get pod minus o white. So right now 2 workers are running, sorry, 2 pods are running. Nginx proj, Nginx proj is there? No, it is Nginx, name is Nginx, Nginx container something. So this is running on worker 2 and kubectl get deployment nginx proj, kubectl delete deployment nginx proj. Now pod information, there was no pod in default namespace. Just now we created nginx dep.yaml. So kubectl apply -n nginx dep.yaml. Some mapping problem. Cat nginx deployment.yaml here also we didn't use. Another one is nginx deployment. Let's see, cat or vi nginx deployment YAML. No, this is also small one. It should be done. I'm sending one video. I'm not going to waste time. It is showing some options that is related to problem is this YAML to JSON YAML line 21. Mapping values are not allowed in this context. Maybe some context oriented places, that is indentation or any context is plus minus options are there. So I will check it, note selected, sending one another video with documentation. Next option is metric server. Metric server, yesterday when we try to install, one option is there, we are facing problem, that is loop related, crash loop back. So troubleshooting time we will discuss what is crash loop back, but once I change one value, I will send that document. You can check kubectl get pod -a. This time this is our crash loop back options of our metric server, but one metric server it is running one by one. Okay, metric servers are running. I will send the proper documentation. You just execute that documentation, because this documentation purpose which is required, components.yaml. We have to download and you have to modify 2 lines and you have to run it. Components.yaml. So metric server is configured. Once metric servers are configured, see, without metric server you can check it. Without metric server also you can check what is the status of your pod. How we are going to check it? For that purpose you have to use kubectl execute -it your pod name -n the namespace bin bash. What happened? Kubectl execute. Yesterday we discussed kubectl apply, create and run and execute. Execute means if your pod is running, you are going to log in inside of that and executing some command. So we are going to log into pod using the bash and then you can utilize as a top command, free command, because by default Linux is there. So I am going to log in inside of this. When I use pod name, actually I am moving to application container. You utilize it, but each and every time we are going to log in inside of that and we will test it. That is not possible. So best option is metric server. Metric server purpose, by default file is available, because Kubernetes, Docker related everything is available. Only your own image you have to create. So once metric server is installed, after that you can check in this way, kubectl top pod. That is, I am using the top command on pod. So it is going to show top status of all the pod. By default there was no pod, so we have to run simple pod YAML is there, cat pod YAML, kubectl apply -m pod YAML. So one pod is running, simple Nginx pod. Now if I want to check, see in this machine if I check top, it is possible because it is a Linux machine, my host machine, base machine. But inside that my pod is going to use how much resources, that is kubectl top pod, kubectl top node. If I use node, then it is going to show my master node is using CPU utility this much. This is some microsecond cycle CPU related. 3% of CPU, this much memory in bytes, memory percentage. My worker node also how much is using, that is also showing here. Now if I use kubectl top, not node, pod, then it is going to show this Nginx, simple Nginx pod, 0 CPU, 4 milli some bytes. Okay, after metric server this is possible. Even you can mention kubectl top pod and pod name if multiple pod is there. Okay, kubectl top pod, pod name, kubectl top pod container, that is inside of the pod, that container related options, how much is used by that container. Now it is same to same because nothing is running. So it is showing your simple Nginx pod, that is the pod name, it is using this much resource. Here it is using, your pod name is simple Nginx pod and name Nginx container, that is inside of this, that is using this resource. Even you can utilize this command also. And you have to mention the pod name. So describe command always in lengthy. So within this you can check name, in which namespace, labels, anything is there, app equal to Nginx, and all the option, API server and uses, CPU memory, kind, it is pod metrics, all informations are there. So once you install this metric server, these are the command, using this you can check your details. Or this is another command, what is your pod name, simple nginx pod. So if I use it, I have to mention the namespace. Right now this namespace is default. Namespace is default. So here we have to mention default and my pod name. My pod name is simple nginx pod. kubectl execute. Okay, it is showing that kubectl execute pod. Will be removed in future version, but I am inside of this pod, simple nginx pod. Actually pod is going to deprecate, only deployment should be there. Still now it is running, in future maybe it is not going to run. So from inside of this, if I use stop command, it is not going to run, command not found. Then you have to install it, yum install, in this way. Okay, so different options are there. It is a very simple pod, so everything is not going to execute, and pod also in target of, that is, it is going to deprecate. So inside a pod you can check any command like this, or you have to install the command. Free command is not found, so you have to install it. Either when you create your Docker file, that time you can install it, or in future also this is the way. But this is very simple pod, minimum resource, so it is not going to accept it, command not found. So yum install or apt install free, unable to locate package free, apt install you can check here cat /etc OS release. So your OS is Debian. Okay, your OS is Debian, so yum is not possible. You have to use apt through. So first you have to check your container is going to use, because we just mentioned nginx. That nginx is going to use with Debian flavor. So we have to use, Debian means Ubuntu or Debian. Debian also another OS. So we have to use apt or apt-get, this type of commands. Yum or dnf is not possible. So that when I use yum here, it is going to show yum command not found. But when I use apt, it is going to check reading package list done, building dependency done, reading the done, unable to locate package free. Maybe this package name is something different, so you may utilize top asterisk. Still it is not going to accept. So we have to know what is the name of the package in Debian top related. Okay, our base machine is different. Base machine is Rocky, that is Red Hat flavor. But our container, inside of container Debian is running. Okay. So I will send the command, you please try it. That is inside of Debian or inside of Ubuntu, how to install this top or how to install any free command. But normally we use this metric server, so from our base machine or from our third-party machine. Yesterday I show you one local machine. From that machine you can execute all these commands. So node selector related code I will send you. You please check it. Metric server you have to install and you have to check. Installation is over. Now I show you this check option. Installation purpose, correct format of that file. So first you have to install it, kubectl apply minus f that file name. Everything is YAML, everything is pod based. Now one more options we have to go through this. That is, I want to create one pod mentioning memory and CPU. Okay, mentioning memory and CPU. Let's see how it is. This components file is working fine. Under spec, we just mention one option. So I will send this file. Within this under spec, yesterday we checked two options. One is true. Yes, this portion. Args. Under args, we are using this line. We add this line and we add one more host network true. This two line. It is ready-made, but we have to add this two line. Then only it is going to run properly. So now let's see. My file is there, Nginx deployment YAML. System pod also we discussed. Now we have to use, this is one options. Our target is just create and check. Nginx projects, replica 2, container name, image Nginx, default one, some port and resource. Here we mention resource. Now request resource and limit resource. Memory requesting 256 MB and limits is 512 MB. That is, this is one soft limit and this is one hard limit. Requesting to use this much, but if it is required you can use more, and that limit is up to 512 MB. CPU also same. Here it is 500 M. Some cycle options are there, and CPU 1 means double of this more or less. 1 means the complete cycle of single CPU core. So if I run this one, copy vinn.yaml, I just paste it, kubectl apply minus f nn.yaml. So it is created. Now once it is created, what is my target? I want to check this pod status, kubectl top pod, my pod name. So let's check kubectl get pod. My pod name is Nginx project. That is Nginx project. Okay. And I mentioned replica 2, I hope. Yeah, replica 2. So 2 pods are running. So this Nginx proj is running on kworker 2. So let's see. This is the name. kubectl get pod name. It is showing sorry, not get, top pod. kubectl top pod and pod name. So it is showing how much CPU it is going to use, because there was nothing, simply 2 pods are running. So this is the way you can mention inside of your deployment resource. Now after this resource, other than resource, inside of your deployment, minimum requirement, name, labels, image, container name, and other requirement, node selector. See, within this also I mentioned node selector large. Okay, and here I mention match labels. So it is not going to create in worker node 1, it is going to create in worker node 2, because I mention here size large, and size large is in worker node 2. We already set it in worker node 2, so that it is going to create in worker node 2, not in worker node 1. Because I forcefully set it, it should be going to create in worker node 2. Even checking purpose, you may copy from here to up to this. Resource portion you can off it. If you want to check resource, then create it. But if you execute this one, it is going to create in particular worker node, because within this I mention node selector size large, and here I mention match labels, selector match label. That means when it is going to select the node, it is not random select by the scheduler, it is select depends on the labels. So label is this one, so that this time when I create the pod, it is creating worker node 2, and then you can check what is the status of your pod, how much CPU, how much memory is using. If applications are running, if end users are there, number of requests are there, so automatically it is going to show CPU and memory. Fine. So as per our topic wise, taint, selector, attach detach, sidecar pause, pod deployment. See, these are theoretical, so please go through this. Metric server, local PC, apply, create, run, execute, static pod, and CPU memory. Just these two options, that is inside this symbol, redirection symbol inside. That is pod with load balancer, it is I am going to show with increase. And toleration with affinity, that is our next part. So we will discuss toleration with affinity. Other than this, we have to complete PV and PVC. See, when I write this type of deployment, we have to mention within this PVC, that is persistent volume claim, how much volume I am claiming from this particular pod. But before that, we have to create PV. PV means persistent volume. Suppose you are going to access one EFS in AWS, EFS from one EC2 instance. So first, what is the requirement? You have to create the EFS, then only you can mount it. Same concept here also. First you have to create the PV. PV means persistent volume, the actual volume. Now from that volume you can claim this volume from your pod, and that is known as PVC. I am claiming 2 GB from there. So this particular pod is going to access 2 GB. That is known as persistent volume claim, how much I am claiming. Now within this PVC, different options are there. That is read write option, read only option, read only from one pod only, or this is going to used by multiple pod. So different options are there. We will discuss that portion and practically we will check it. PVC important. Daily life it is required. See deployment, how to write the deployment and what are the features you are going to mention. That is most important. List of kinds, we are going to check what are the different types of kinds are there. We already check few kinds like pod, deployment, service. Okay, other than this PVC also one kind. Config map and secret. This is just configuration of your Kubernetes, and secret also going to hold the secret, the credential and others in secret files. So what is the purpose of this file, where it is going to locate it, and how to utilize it, what is the importance of this, we have to know this config map and secrets. Now this is also one important. See in Netflix, suppose if you are going to connect Netflix and you are going to create your account, you are going to pay per month this much amount. So what happened inside of Netflix, they are running everything in Kubernetes. Okay, but they are going to create one user. This user is going to store in single sign-on server. Mostly we are using in single sign-on server for Kubernetes purpose, that is known as SSO, and that is through AD or LDAP or any other. But minimum we have to check how to create one user in Kubernetes cluster and how to grant some permission. In EC2, in AWS Cloud, think about it, we are going to create IAM user, and then we grant S3 full access, EC2 full access. Same concept here, how to create one user and how to grant the permission. That permission basically we use through RBAC. RBAC means role based access control. Okay, role based access control. You know what is role? In IAM role we already covered. So role concept means collection of privileges, collection of permissions. So you have to check how to create one user and how to grant some permissions with the help of RBAC. Kubernetes backup and restore. Kubernetes backup and restore. First condition is in Kubernetes your cluster, if it is crash, then how to manage it. So you have to take the backup, and if there are any issues we have to restore it. Now one question, in Kubernetes cluster I am going to take the backup, that is true, but what I am going to take the backup? Okay,
Deployments.
deployments is your matter, but cluster, how cluster is going to run. So first you have to know in Kubernetes, because if you are going to create again one more cluster, that is the per node, there is worker node, master node. Okay, by that time you already apply so many patches and others, how it is possible? So you have to take the backup of Kubernetes few important files, etcd and secrets, configs, and your own file, deployments and others, service and others. Deployment, service, and these are end users matter, but cluster, if cluster is crash, then how to repair the cluster, that is important. So we have to know what should I take the backup and how it is. Normally in production, that is in industry, they are using some third-party tool. Okay, so we are going to check how it is and what, and third-party tool, few tool name. If it is possible, you can check one tool. This is free of cost, open source. What is service account? Because account means some users. So service account. Daemon set. Daemon set is most important because in Kubernetes, whenever we install Prometheus, we are going to use Prometheus as a daemon set, Argo CD as a daemon set. So what is this daemon set? Customize. This customize spelling is from K. Okay, this customize, it is due to Kubernetes K, so they are using customize using K. So customize means, see, when we are going to test anything in development area, test area, the Kubernetes cluster, then in productions. So customize through, we can customize it, that is minimum change, and we can proceed development to test area to pre-production area, that is customize. Upgrade, interview time, so many questions they are going to ask from upgrade. What are the prerequisites of upgrade? What are the different types of upgrade? I already mentioned here rolling, canary. These are the upgrade process name. And upgrade time, it should be, your cluster should be up and run. It is not that I'm going to down and I'm going to upgrade everything. So downtime is there. But nowadays nobody is going to accept downtime. So upgrade time, some option is there. Suppose particular one application it is running in 100 node, 100 pod. Now within this 100 pod, what is the target? 25% pod, that is 25 pod is going to down and upgrade. 75 pods are running. Okay, that is known as max surge. So interview time they are going to ask, what is this max surge? Max unavailable. Okay, max surge, important question. Next, one more thing, in one particular node, how many pod is possible? Any idea? If I suppose in one node resource is enough, network we are using, pod network is from class A, so some 65,000 pod also possible. But in one node basically how much pod we are going to create? As per the Calico and others, how much pod we are going to create? Basically not more than 110. Why? Whenever we are going to see by default one pod is going to down. So when pod is going to down, before down one signal is there, due to that alternate pod is going to start. First pod is going to start, then this pod is going to down. It is not that one pod is down, then another pod is going to start. Before down the pod, another alternate pod is going to start. Once it is started, now this pod is going to down. So that if 110 pods are there in one node and 110 pods are going to down, then 110 pod is going to start at a time. Now question is it possible in one node if 110 at a time is going to create and 110 is already running, that much resource, that much IP address? No, sometimes it is not possible. So it is also absurd matter that 110 pod is going to down in one shot, maybe one pod, two pod. So resource is going to manage it. Using the max surge also, when we are going to apply, and suppose 60-40 or 25% by default, 25% is down and 25% is going to upgrade, we have to know that portion, so that always it is up and run. That is your application, if it is running on Kubernetes, always it is up and run. Now horizontal pod autoscaling. If resource is used more, that is pod is running and CPU utility is more, then automatically pod autoscaling is going to start. and ingress controller. Same as node port, load balancer, then ingress. Load ingress is going to use load balancer. Load balancer is going to use the node port internally. But then why we are using ingress? So we will discuss why ingress, what are the advantage of ingress, and in ingress so many options are there. Blacklist, whitelist. Inside of ingress, if I blacklist particular one network, then they cannot connect my Kubernetes cluster via the ingress because they are blacklisted. Okay, so this portion, our target, discussion and practical side by side, 50% Saturday, 50% Sunday. Okay, by that time you please complete your this first option related all the practicals. I am sending these documents after little bit modify, I check it, and then you please try it. Next Saturday Sunday we are going to start Helm and Argo CD. Saturday Helm, Sunday Argo CD. Next Prometheus Grafana Loki one Saturday, and EKS graphically and console mode, that is command line, Sunday. Now anything is there, question answer, troubleshooting, performance tuning, or any other topic is there, that is next to next. Then Terraform will take just daily basis. Okay, not Saturday Sunday, you can manage it because Terraform is easy. Kubernetes you have to practice number of things, so that within this week you please practice this 1 to 11, not this one, that is load balancer, not tolerance. This two is next part, but other than this portion try to complete it practically. And if you are facing any problem, any issues, then please knock me Wednesday or Thursday morning 9 to 10. We can continue the class. If there are any doubts, update me in group. Then this is the doubts. So Wednesday or Thursday classes are required. So Monday, Tuesday check it, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday you just go through it. Then doubts are there, update me. Thursday we will continue one class. Okay, this
Yeah, sir. One doubt session, if we keep, no, that is good. One doubt session every week.
yeah, one doubts, that is different, but this portion oriented any doubts, you just update me Wednesday or Thursday. Okay, so update me by Tuesday, so I will plan on Wednesday or Thursday as per your requirement, classroom, online, both. If you want to come classroom, come here, okay, or online. But before that you please update me, I have some doubts in this topic. Okay, I face some problem in this topic, so we will continue Wednesday and Thursday, or 2 days, not only one day, Wednesday also, Thursday also, if it is required, 9 to 10 we will continue it. Okay, and again, because see, by Friday we have to complete it. By Friday you have to complete it. Okay, so please practice from your side. I am sending these documentations and discussion videos also. And any doubts, Wednesday will continue, Thursday will continue, Friday will continue, but we have to complete it by Friday, because Saturday we are going to discuss few 5 topics, extra 5 topics, practically and theoretically. Right, so by Friday try to complete it. Okay, I am sending this video and I am sending this documentation lunchtime, after lunch session. Let me check once more, and then I am sending this one, so please go through that. Okay, and hands-on, please practice it.
Sir, please send yesterday's videos also, like session.
Yesterday I didn't send.
Yeah, no, sir.
Just a minute. Videos. Oh, I think 7:30 you didn't use OP or anything. I request you please complete your attendance, because 9 p.m. I think I send it. Once any OP is there, na, I can understand in this batch I have to send. Check it. This is 415 MB. You are 730, na?
Yeah, sir, 7:30.
Please attendance, complete your attendance in this group. Then I can understand that you are joining from this batch. I have to send it. 730p. This one. It is 126. 1 minute.